Alcatraz. The Rock, a fortress rising from the cold waters of San Francisco Bay. For decades, it was the final stop for America's most dangerous criminals, a place designed to crush hope, silence rebellion, and end the dream of escape. But on the night of June 11th, 1962, 3 inmates defied the legend. They slipped past guards, crawled through the prison's hidden arteries, and disappeared into the darkness. Their fate remains one of the greatest mysteries in American criminal history. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary opened in 1934 as the ultimate maximum security prison. Surrounded by frigid, fast-moving currents, reinforced with steel bars, guard towers, and relentless surveillance. It was engineered to be escape-proof. The government sent its worst offenders here, men like Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and the infamous Birdman, Robert Stroud. The message was simple: if you arrived at Alcatraz, you weren't supposed to leave. Yet, beneath the iron discipline and concrete walls, cracks existed. Cracks that 3 determined inmates would exploit. Frank Lee Morse arrived at Alcatraz in 1960, brilliant, calculating, and relentless. Morris had an IQ reportedly above 130 and a long history of escape attempts. He was the kind of inmate Alcatraz was built to contain, and the kind of mind capable of finding its weaknesses. Beside him were brothers John and Clarence Anglin, seasoned bank robbers from Georgia. They had grown up poor, hardened by life, and notorious for slipping out of prisons across the South. When the Anglins and Moores found themselves in adjacent cells, a partnership formed, one that would challenge the most secure prison in America. The escape began with patience. Over 6 months, the men transformed everyday objects into tools. Spoons became chisels. A drill was fashioned from a stolen vacuum cleaner motor. Concrete dust was mixed with soap and paint to craft lifelike. Dummy heads, complete with real human hair, scavenged from the prison barbershop. Night after night, they chipped away at the ventilation grates behind their cells, widening the openings until they could slip through. Behind the wall lay an unguarded utility corridor, a hidden highway running behind the cell block. From there, they climbed pipes, reached the roof, and prepared their final creation: a raft and life vests made from more than 50 stolen raincoats. On June 11, 1962, the plan unfolded. The men placed their papier MCH heads on their pillows, arranged blankets to mimic sleeping bodies, and slipped through the holes behind their cells. They climbed the utility corridor, reached the roof, and descended to the shoreline. There, under the cover of darkness, they inflated their makeshift raft using a stolen concertina. By the time guards performed morning head count on June 12th, the men were gone. The dummy heads fooled the night guards completely. One even rolled off the bed when nudged, revealing its plaster nose. Panic swept the prison. The FBI was called immediately. The greatest manhunt in Alcatraz history began. Search teams scoured the bay. A paddle and pieces of the raft were found near Angel Island, suggesting the men may have reached land or that the raft had broken apart. The FBI concluded in 1979 that the escapees likely drowned, swept away by the brutal currents. But no bodies were ever recovered. Over the years, alleged sightings surfaced. Family members claimed the Anglins had survived. A photograph emerged in 2015, supposedly showing the brothers alive in Brazil. Experts debated its authenticity. The U.S. Marshals Service still keeps the case open, and the men remain wanted until 2026. The mystery endures because the evidence never fully closes the door on survival. The Alcatraz escape is more than a prison break. It is a story of human ingenuity, desperation, and the eternal pull of freedom. It exposed vulnerabilities in a system built on fear and control. It challenged the myth of an unbreakable fortress, and it left behind a question that refuses to die. Did three men outsmart the most secure prison in America and vanish into new lives? The escape contributed to Alcatraz's closure less than a year later. The Rock had been defeated, not by force, but by patience, intelligence, and the will to escape. More than 60 years later, the waters of San Francisco Bay still hold their secret. The raft, the men, the truth, all lost to time, but the legend remains. This is the story of the Alcatraz escape. A story of three men who refused to accept the walls around them. A story that continues to echo across America. And until the final evidence emerges, the question will remain: did they die in the bay, or did they get away? If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and consider subscribing to my channel.